Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is another beautiful day that the Lord has allowed us to see. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we are able to bring you hope, encouragement, and inspiration through that opportunity. Today, we are so happy that you decided to join us on this platform, which is acknowledged as Project 365. Again, where we offer hope, encouragement, and inspiration. We love to do that. We really love to do that. And let me bring in my beautiful co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira and I am so happy to be here with you all today. Before we bring on our guest of the day, I just want to remind you, as always, to go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, so that you can help us bring hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world. Now, of course, we don't know everybody in the whole world, and you may not either. But when you share, it spreads like wildfire and so many people are affected. So don't forget to go and subscribe.
Got to do that. And they are a part of our team, right?
Yes.
They are a part of our team. So today we have the great privilege and the honor to bring to the platform to bring us hope, encouragement, and inspiration, none other than my friend Vicki Jones. We lost contact for a short minute, but I'm grateful to God that we reconnected. And when we reconnected, it's amazing the things that she does and her passion and her heartbeat. And many times we ask the question, why do you do what you do? Or can't you do the same thing in our country? Vicki is working, she has a major work that she does out of the country. I'll let her tell what it is, but it is amazing what work she does and especially out of the country. Vicki is a social entrepreneur. She's an artist, a designer. What else is Vicki? Don't tell me. She's a speaker. She's a writer.
A little bit of this and that.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. A jack of all trades and master of many. So that is a good thing. And today, I believe Vicki will share with us to the point that we will be so inspired to adopt some of what she does, because it is a work that helps to support women. And I am a great supporter of women emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that. So we're going to hear from Vicki Jones. Thank you, Vicki, for accepting our invitation to come and share your heartbeat and your passion. Just share with us. You have a platform. Share with us what you do. Inspire. I know you're going to give some inspiration as to how we can connect with you and to support you in your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Portia. Let me first say that this is such a fantastic platform. The fact that you are doing this 365 days is amazing to me, and you are to be commended, you and Takira, and I am pleased to be here. I wrote it down on day 208. So I thank you so much. And I'm glad, yes, that we did reconnect. As you said, I am an artist, a clothing and costume designer, a writer, and a social entrepreneur. And I like to say that because that is the way, the path that I took in my, on my path to sharing and working in the world. It all started with me as a child. When I was an artist, I loved to be in my house by myself. I was just doing my art, and that was my passion and my love. That took me to school, where I got a degree in clothing design. I discovered I liked theater. That took me to New York. I was raised Catholic, so I always knew the Lord, but I was never really, really connected. And when I got to college, I sort of stepped back from that faith. But when I got to New York, I found myself feeling a longing in my spirit for something spiritual that I had, stepped away from. So all the time that I was in New York doing theater, I started to search for that grounding. And while I was in New York, I was a member of two churches, House of the Lord Pentecostal in Brooklyn, and later Riverside. And at House of the Lord, that was Pastor Herbert Daughtry. He was into Black liberation theology. And so that sort of spoke to my spirit in terms of social action. And then later on, when I was a member of Riverside, I was there under Sloan Coffin, who was a well-known civil rights activist back in the day. And at Riverside, I started to participate in outreach and homeless ministry. And so those things started to bubble in my spirit. And when I moved back to Baltimore, I searched out a church, and I found myself in a church where there was a discipleship program. And so the discipleship helped me to settle down in my spirit and to really find where my passion was and how to work in that and operate that in the world. Because, as Christians, I'm Christian, so that's the vantage point that I speak from. As Christians, we know about Christ, we've accepted him, but there's that other stage of how do we model him in the earth? And that's what I began to understand and to grasp in going through discipleship. And at that same time, something that was in me that longed for the world started to bubble up. And when I came back to Baltimore, I started working for the state of Maryland, and one of my coworkers had a pastor who traveled to Kenya. And I had always said, I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Africa. I'd always said that, but as people, and especially as Black people, we never say we want to go to Nigeria or, South Africa or Kenya, because we don't have a sense. We get on each other for saying, I'm going to go to Africa. And, Africa is a continent. It's not a country. But we don't really have that sense of country like people from other ethnic groups. They can say, I'm going home to Ireland. I'm going home to Spain. They know where they come from. So when we say Africa, we think of the continent because that's really all we know. So when I used to say I want to go to Africa, I never really even knew where I wanted to go. But my friend who had a pastor who was going to Kenya dropped in my spirit, oh, maybe one day I can take a missions trip to Kenya. And in 2006, the Lord blessed me with that opportunity, and I took my first trip to Kenya. And the minute I touched down, I felt like I was home. I don't know where my ancestry will take me, but I've claimed Kenya in some point, in my history. And I met the women, and I was just so touched by how warm and loving they were, how intelligent they were. We're talking about women that speak at least 2 languages and a dialect. Women who have had small businesses, entrepreneurs who, but for the lack of funding, could not really support themselves or their families. And so a couple trips later, I said to the Lord, is there some way that I can help these women on a continuing basis? Is there something that I can do? We would go in February. Is there something that I can do between February, me going, giving them a bag of toiletries, and then I don't see them till 2 years later, the next February, doing that, when I'm hearing, because we couldn't communicate it, I'm hearing what they're going through with their children out of school. I'm hearing that, they're being raped. I'm hearing that they're, they can't pay the rent on their houses. So I said, Lord, is there something I can do? And the answer was to form a nonprofit. So that's how Bahari Sisters came to be. Bahari means ocean in Swahili. That's where our connection is, the ocean. And 2012 is when we started doing work as an organization. We started out doing the same types of things that I did as a single person, sending. If I couldn't go that year, I would send the packages with someone else. If I couldn't get there to purchase jewelry from the women, or they would send it here, and I would sell it at fairs, and we would send the money back to them. So we started out like that. And then over the years, our platform has grown, and we've tried to be into more sustainable projects, more projects where there's a collective group of women doing that. And so we now have a beekeeping project, an apiary that's in Embu, where we built an apiary, the building that houses our bees from the ground up. And we had, at the beginning, we had like 15 or so women. Was real between COVID and the locusts and the droughts in 2019 and 2020. The apiary has gone through a lot, but I am pleased to say, thank God, that there are still women there working the apiary, and bees, honey is being produced, and they're earning an income on that project that, is now theirs. We help and assist when needed, but we have that group of women. We support a school. I don't want to go too specific because people can go to the website and see our projects, but we support Bookshine High School. We give out AfriPads, which is a sanitary product, which is a reusable. I actually have one here. Let me do a plug. This little pack that is like less than $10 will take care of a woman's needs for a year. And so we've given over, I would say, at least 400 packs of AfriPads we have given out to schoolgirls over the years. And last year when COVID hit, we did a shift from doing training projects to emergency assistance, because it wasn't even an issue of there being scarcity of food. There was no food. So we were literally giving food to people who would have starved had we not been there. We did many food distribution. I don't want to call them events, but food distributions between Nairobi, the city, and the county. We actually did a detergent making project because there's no soap. You tell people who are living in these massive settlement areas where there are thousands of people living in areas where they're living in shanties or maybe cement block apartments with no infrastructure, no lights, no running water, no sewage system, none of that, and then you're in COVID. And then, the major thing is to wash your hands. Well, how can you wash your hands? There's no water and there's no soap. So we had detergent making projects, and I have a project manager who's there who oversees everything that we do on the ground. And she worked with various community groups to make the detergent and then to distribute it. So we did that last year. And out of that, we formed a food pantry that is in Gatina, which is one of these settlement areas. And we have a food pantry now that can, we try to give food staples to at least 10 families a month. Less depending upon how large the families are, but so we're still in the midst of dealing with providing emergency assistance because COVID is still raging in Kenya. The AstraZeneca is the shot that they were supposed to get there, but in the beginning, I think this is July, maybe it was around May or June, the shipments of AstraZeneca that did get there were given to the expats and the diplomats. And so to today, like my team have still not, been vaccinated. And the other issue is that in these settlements, there's so many thousands of people. If you think of miles and miles of people with really, there's no house address, there's no street address, there's no phones. How do you even find the people to put together something to even vaccinate? So, people are there and they're still not being vaccinated. And that's a major issue. So we're still working sort of, under that cloud of COVID, but we're doing what we can, and we are looking towards 2022, hopefully to be able to get back to more of our training projects. So that's what we do. What I want to say about what we do and how I got there is that I believe that everybody has something that in them that they can bring out and give to the world. There's gifts and talents. Everybody has gifts and talents. There's something intrinsic that's in you. But we have to stop, and we have to speak to God, our creator, however you want to define it, to find out what that is, because that's how we address all these different issues in the world. I'm called to get on a plane and go to Kenya. Somebody else may be called to work at a homeless shelter. Somebody else may be called to go help clean up the bay. We all have something, but unless we stop and really try to connect, and for me, that's what happened in discipleship. So much in the world goes, unaddressed. And it's so sad that people don't understand that there's more to life than a job and your house. Everybody has something, whether it's a cup of tea for a neighbor, and to not sell yourself short saying, I don't have the finances, I can't do it. I don't know how many people I have said, they'll say, oh, I want to contribute to Bahari, but I don't really have any money. And I tell them, well, $10 will keep a girl in school. And people don't realize that there's always a need at some level that can be met. And I just try to encourage people to realize how much they have in them. The other thing that I try to do is I always thank God for my mentors. Jesus is the ultimate guide spiritually, and the Holy Spirit within speaking to you. But I had a grandmother who mirrored Jesus in the earth. And as I look back on it now, I realized she was mentoring me, but I didn't realize it there. I just realized that I was under her spirit, and whatever I was with her, I was at peace and in a state of joy and safety. She was Catholic, and because I was raised Catholic. Back in the day, Catholics couldn't marry non-Catholics. My mother was Baptist, my father was Catholic, so she converted to marry my father, and so I went to church with my paternal grandmother, and we just clicked. She just had such a spirit, and this was the 50s, the 60s, and that was when Catholic churches weren't really integrated, especially where in Govans at St. Mary's. That was a white church, but her name was Marie, and I called her Ree. I remember Ree would go in there, and she would take her space, and she would go in with dignity, and everybody, whatever nationality, respected her and loved her. And she was a woman of modest means, but she had a smile or a prayer or just, a loving word. And I just remember how she was. And so I like to think that I can mirror some of that, because she's taught me that you don't have to have a lot to make change and to make somebody's life a little better. So I just try to encourage people that don't sell yourself short. There's always something in you that can touch another person. My life scripture is Habakkuk 2, write the vision. I believe in writing it. I believe in speaking it. And once you bring that up out of your spirit and you put it out there, God will meet you at that point, and he will show you where it is that he wants you to operate in the earth.
He definitely will. He definitely will. And when you ask, when you don't know, and he's right there for us to ask, he would definitely tell you.
Yes.
And it may not be anything like anyone else. It may be something completely, to someone else, it would be off the wall, off the chain.
Yes.
But it would be so fulfilling to you because that's your purpose. What about fulfillment? What is it? Tell me, how do you feel? And it's not even necessarily in our feelings, because our feelings are fickle, but there is some type of fulfillment that you get from fulfilling your purpose.
It's unspeakable. It is a joy, but it's also a weight. And that is the reason that I've come full circle, because while I am fulfilled and just overjoyed that, when that food pantry is stocked and I get those pictures, I'm still concerned. I'm still worried. But the Lord told me, because, I just will be transparent. 2020, my anxiety went up to here. I'm a single woman, never married, no children. And I was very happy to be here in my space by myself, because I knew I could come and go as I pleased. But COVID shut all that down. So I'm in here and, I can't go to church and I can't touch my friends and I have no close relatives. So I'm literally not being touched for over a year. And I said, Lord, what is going on? And he said, you've lost where your place of joy is, your art. And I was like, oh, wow. And I realized I literally had not sketched for over a year. And that's just like unheard of. So I said, you're right. And I got new supplies and I pulled out my art pad and I began to sketch. And the joy, my cup started to be filled, and I could relax and I could do my art and I could be concerned about Kenya. But now, instead of being all out of balance, I had some equilibrium back. So, from the passion of the art that started my life to the purpose that discipleship brought to it. And now I'm going to the passion. And so I feel like, okay, I'm in a circle now and I got a little flow. And so, I'm feeling good, and I'm, excited about where Bahari will go in the next years. I'm excited about where my art can go in the next years. And I just, hope that I can continue to inspire people, especially those creatives who are out there, and especially Christian creatives who don't find a space, who don't have this, who our space is not within the walls of the church. We need to be free to know that. And we need to be encouraged that, okay, I'm a Christian, I'm a creative, but I'm not going to join the usher board. I'm not going to work in the nursery. That's not who I am. I'm doing a sister series, my sketches, and some of the sketches have spiritual base. So that's how, my faith is being reflected in my art. And I hope that will bring joy to somebody.
That is great. Do you happen to have any of your art there?
You maybe, if I turn carefully.
There, yeah.
That is my Juneteenth sketch. That I call her June, and she has, she's got the fist, the power, and she's holding a flower, but behind her skirt, the stem of the flower goes down, and it's a chain. So it's showing, it's speaking to how rebirth from slavery in the chain to the flower, to a strong sister looking good and assuming her place. So that's going to be like the theme of my sketches.
And that can be purchased on your website? Or how
you can go, I just opened up a Redbubble, redbubble.com site. That's a site where artists upload their art, and you can purchase the art on a multitude of products. if people can email me at, my email is raptures, WRAPTURES 7@comcast.net. And if you're interested in a poster, which would be a larger size than that's on the site, they can feel free to email me, or I'm Vicki L Jones on Facebook and Instagram, and you can always get in contact with me there.
That is wonderful. I'm chuckling within, because whatever site you said, that read whatever, Takira is like, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Good,
I'm like, I never heard of it.
Good,
I never heard of it. But we will definitely make sure your contact information will be placed in our comment section, so that individuals who want to purchase the artwork can go there to see it. Now, I want to take a moment to go back to your conversation regarding the beekeeper. Yeah. How do you put it? It was something, word with the A.
The apiary.
Okay. Now that right there, how many in our culture do you know are beekeepers? Me, I don't know any. You might be out there, and well, you are out there, but I don't know. I literally run from bees. I don't swat them.
And see, you don't have to run. They're very docile animals. They really are. If you don't, they only attack if you attack them. Yeah.
This bees around the world. I will not swat. I will not attack. Can you hear this?
Yes. No.
So,
now wasps are a different thing. Wasps, are more aggressive, but bees are really not. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now I'm going to try this, Vicki. Let's try this. I'm going to share my screen and show our audience a clip of you in Kenya with the beekeepers.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see which one it is. Buzz Lab. That one. Okay. Let me know if you can hear it.
Yes. That was my trip in 2019. And you see, I've got tassel around my neck because that was the ribbon cutting of the apiary. And that's Jane, our project manager, and she was showing me around. So this building was literally built from the ground up, brick by brick. And the way the apiary works is there are holes in the walls where you see those like tubular holes. The bees actually fly in and out. The bees are so smart that they know where their hive is, and they fly in and out those holes. They to their hive and out to the trees.
That's you in the hat, right?
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I never knew, that bees did that because, we're more accustomed to seeing just the wooden boxes set up and you just, you're able to pull up the screens with the honey. But in some areas of Kenya, the buildings are built so that you can, there's more safety for the bees, and even with that, we've had some incidents of animals getting in and overturning one of the hives and, killing the bees.
Oh, they were trying to get to the honey?
They were, yes. So that was 2019. There was a group of, that was gentlemen from the Department of Environment who had come to meet me. And it's funny because you see the men sitting around there. This was for the women, but of course, when something's built and it's all up and running, then the men are going to come and join in for fun. So, you know, they came. But we do have men that come help, because there are things like we have catcher boxes that are high up in the trees where the bees are lured, and some of those are too high up with the women. So that's a catcher box there. So, you know, the men help with some of the harder stuff. But that was in Embu County, and that was something where I had to overcome a fear, because Embu is about 3 hours outside of Nairobi. And that was the first time that I had ever gone outside of the city by myself. I mean, I had Jane and I had the driver, but you know,
let me stop this. Let me wait a minute. It did it again. Enjoy the music until I can make it stop.
I think it's okay.
You good? Can you hear that?
No, I think it's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but that was my first time venturing outside of Nairobi at a distance where I was really going to be by myself. And I had to pray, Lord, you know, keep me safe. I've never done this. You know, when we go in February, there's different people that go. And so, you know, different people go different years, but we all stay at the same place. Everybody has their own project that they work on. So you kind of know where everybody is, and you're always in Nairobi. And one thing that we always do together is we go into Langata Women's Maximum Security Prison, and we minister to the women in there. So generally, the projects that I would go and check on were in Nairobi or, you know, Langata with, you know, other people. And, you know, men that were in the group would be with me. But this was the first time that I had to travel. And it was, I'm proud that God gave me the grace and the covering, you know, no matter how much you try to not look American, Kenyans know that you're American. So when you're out on the road with somebody, you know, you're apt to be pulled over and asked for money. They can pull you over and try to detain you. They can take you to the police station. They can do all, you know, kinds of things. So it's very important to have, you know, a seasoned driver, which I did. And so John would tell me there's a checkpoint up there. I see some police. We're not going to stop. And he would just drive straight through. Because, you know, if we stopped, we would probably be asked for a bribe or something. And so when I got there and sat in the middle of the cornfield, I drank a Stony, which is my favorite drink there. It's ginger beer. I just said, thank you, Jesus. You got me here. Now you get me home and I'll be good, you know. But, and again, you know, that's something that we're called to do, is to step out in faith and do those new and scary things, you know.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Well, I just really admire creative women like you, because you aren't afraid to step out and try things that are different or difficult. And even if you are afraid to do it anyway. So you're a very big inspiration.
Thank you.
And I love your projects that you're working on, from your art to the beekeeping. I've actually learned quite a lot about bees during the pandemic from TikTok, believe it or not. So
okay.
I follow a lady's page. Her page is like Texas Bee Works. So she's like a bee person that comes and gets bees, and she teaches a lot of the things about how bees are. So that's why I knew that, you know, if you don't provoke the bees, they're not going to sting you.
Fine. Yes, right. yes. You know, when Jane came to me and said, you know, the women want to do beekeeping, I didn't know anything either. So I took a course up at, Beekeepers Association of Maryland. And it was like a 6-week course so that I could learn about bees. And, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. And while I was taking that course here, she was taking the course in Kenya. And it was so interesting how we do things differently here versus there. But yeah, you know, a whole new thing. I was like, beekeeping, okay, let me, you know, and it's the project that the women want to do now is yogurt making. So, you know, that's what we'll be starting up in 2022, because like beekeeping, yogurt making is like a hot project to do in Kenya, where women can make, you know, nice money and have their own little business. So, you know, and that's why I, you know, again, encourage people to get out of your comfort zone and out of your zip code and get your passport and get out of your country to learn what's going on around the world. It makes such a difference in your life.
Yes, yes. I completely agree. And one of the things I like that you said was, well, a couple of things that you said, but you were talking about how you don't have to have a lot to make someone's life better or make a difference in someone's life. I think that's such a great message to like just keep reiterating to people, because you know we just have to kind of get it in our system that, you know, you don't need to be a millionaire, you don't need to be, you know, so well connected. No, not to begin with. No, you just start where you are. Amen. And especially if you're a believer, God will make provision for where you're supposed to be. And one thing that my bishop has taught me since I was a little girl, you know, like if you have something on your minds to do and you're like, man, somebody needs to do this, or if they're watching this broadcast and they're like, how come Miss Vicki doesn't do this in Maryland? Well, you know what? If God placed that in your heart, then you're the person that's supposed to go do that.
Absolutely. Yes. You know, I've been in churches and like, well, you want to serve in the nursery. No, that is not my ministry.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? That's another good thing that you said, because I've come across so many creatives, especially myself, that are believers, and you're like, you know, well, my passion is this over here, but since there's nothing for me to do, let me go sing on the choir. You don't like singing, or let's go work in the nursery. You don't like kids that much. You know, I personally love kids and love singing, but you know,
God bless you.
But you know, you try to fill yourself and fill a void when maybe, you know, God is saying, hey, no, how about you create your own lane with the passions and gifts that I've given you to serve me, whether it's in the four walls of the church or outside. So absolutely, I just want to encourage our viewers, listen to Miss Vicki here. I'm telling you, she knows what she's talking about.
Thank you, Takira.
Now, one of the things that I heard Vicki say was, of course, you're a nonprofit, right?
Yes.
Or you're 501c3?
Yes.
Okay, so of course we'll make sure we get that information. I think the videos that we posted on Facebook for the descriptive of today, those videos are included, and the other one talks about the personal products for the young ladies for the year.
Yes.
One more time, can you show that? Because $10, you know, donate that to.
Yes, this is a product that another friend of mine who travels to Kenya told me about, I don't know, five or so years ago, AfriPads. This is a Ugandan-based company, and they make reusable sanitary products. You get 3 pads come in a pack, and there's a little pouch. And the thought being you have one on, there's an extra one, and there's one being washed. And these 3 will last a girl for a year. And the reason they're so important is because one of the major reasons that girls skip school is because they don't have sanitary products. They don't have the money for it. It's just too expensive. So you're reduced to whatever, or you stay home. And so this solves all those problems. The other thing is that this being reusable, as I talked about, you know, in Katina area, the settlement, there's, you know, it's not about flushing anything. It's not even about putting something in a bag and putting it in the trash can for the trash to pick up. That doesn't exist. So you have all this waste that's just piling up and piling up. And this, you know, this eliminates all that waste. So it's environmentally friendly, and it's something that one of my board members gave us a major gift that in 2019, we gave each girl in Bookshine School a pack, and that was 200 girls. Mm-hmm. And when my project manager rolled up with this, they were overjoyed, because when I had been there earlier in 2019, and I said, girls, what exactly, do you need? What would you like us to do? And they said, ma'am, can you help us with the sanitary? We have no pads. And I said, okay, I'm going to work on that. But I didn't want to do it until I could give every girl in the school at the same time. And so, I was like, Lord, I don't know where we're going to get the money to do this. But a board member wrote me a check and said, just, do this.
This is a good way right here as well.
I thank God for my board, and I thank God for my monthly donors. And again, going back to not needing a lot, we have monthly donors from $5 to $35. And people think that's not a lot, but $5 a month every 12 months is something that I can depend on, and it adds up.
We're going to make that happen, make some things happen. At least this is a start to put that word out there that even if they're $10, go in with 2 people. That's $10 right there. Five here, 5 there. Just don't go to McDonald's for your little meal. I mean, which we shouldn't be going to anyway. When you really think about the back, what that food is doing to our body.
Yes.
But go in with a couple of people. $5 here. That's a project, and you're helping. $5. You're helping. You're
Absolutely.
helping the cause.
Yes.
So
we're going to have a fundraiser coming up in October that I will share on Facebook and everything. That's going to be like a sort of major year-end fundraiser. We're doing maybe 1 or 2 this year. I thank God for, my donors, because we generally try to do major things, and with people going through, the economic chaos that they're going through, but by the grace of God, we're still able to do.
Well, when you get that information together, let me know so I can post it to our site as well. And again, that's a way to help. There's so many ways that you can help. Post it to your website. You never know whose hands it will fall into, and they have been waiting to donate to such a cause. So just be creative, not just you, but ask God how you can help. There is a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And also to the fact of trust integral people. And we know that Vicki, out of relationship, we know that Vicki is an integral person. And then when you get, again, I've said it before, because we're 501c3. Many of the large companies, I'm not going to knock them, but all the money doesn't always go to the people. And it's so much overhead.
I have been told that by my project manager, that there would be those well-known international groups that come into the area, and they would do big projects, and it'd be a big photo op. And there was a cleanup project in the Katina area, and this one organization came with all this equipment and photos and this and that. And they did the project one day, and they left. They took the equipment. They didn't leave the people any supplies or anything. So when we go in and do that same kind of cleanup, we send, masks and coverings and gloves, and we pay for the equipment, and the people take ownership, and the money goes directly to them. So while people are giving to these larger organizations,
I know,
when you give to the grassroots, you can be assured that the money, we're not making this salaries, and we're not, having stock options and all that. We're doing the work that God has called us to do to the best of our ability. And we're being fiscally responsible.
To the best of our ability and being responsible. Well, this has been good. This has been good. I oftentimes go back to the statement that my Archbishop, my spiritual father, Archbishop Ralph Dennis, shared with me on day 1 of Project 365. I usually have my guests to share only about 20 minutes, but he said, Do not worry about the time frame, especially if the quality of information that is being shared needs to be shared, needs to be said. So we took a little longer today, but this is information.
We went over time. Oh,
we did, but no, not to you, because we were still throwing questions at you, because it was very interesting and very needed for individuals who want to do the work of God internationally as well as nationally. But this is needed and necessary. Many things I didn't know. I can go back and Google now, but I have a contact person, integral person, who will, I can email, meaning yourself, I can go to the website and I can find out information of how I can support and write down again.
And we can do it over lunch. We can do it over lunch.
Absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way. Hey, it is what it is. And this is the work that we have chosen to support, and a special cause for other women out of the country. So I love God. I love you. I thank you for, again, accepting our invitation to come and share hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Thank you, Takira. Thank you, Vicki. On that note, we're going to leave you for today, but just know that we will be back on this platform to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration tomorrow at what time, Takira?
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Blessings, ladies.
God bless, ladies. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.